Boston, New York, Brooklyn, Chicago, Baltimore, Maine. If you're wondering why I read those names off, I can break it down for you real quick. You see, those are the states that have taken in migrants and have, at the expense of the local residents, displaced them. You see, what they've started to do is take these rec centers and turn them into migrant camps. The people to suffer, of course, are, I'm sorry to say this, but the African American people that live there. Time and time again, we keep seeing these videos pop up of young men trying to go to these rec centers after school, the elderly trying to get somewhere, or even just teachers are trying to find a spot to teach their kids something after school and they have nowhere left. They're even taking over schools, making things impossible for kids to learn. What's the real outcome of all of this? Well, for a long time, blue cities have always had a very poor economic outlook, one, but they've also had a very poor outlook on the society in general, from crime to low education, and not just that, the entirety of the population there suffers. They live in squalor, and a lot of them can't get just basic necessities, but yet still, these people in charge are coming in and taking what little resources they have, what little joy they have, and handing it to people who did nothing to maintain it. Now, recently in New York, there was a altercation between these migrants that were in these facilities and the NYPD. Now, when you see the video, it's quite disturbing. But I'm going to talk to you about something that would normally not happen to them, but it would if you did this. Take a look and you tell me if what you see makes any sense to you, and we'll be right back. Now, if it were anyone else tossing something at the police officer, and we've seen this before, this is becoming the MO now. If you or I were to toss something at a police officer, smack them in the head, especially with a piece of luggage that size, you and I would not just be incarcerated, but anyone else that was involved with us in that area that was talking to us, anyone egging us on, they'd be arrested too. Now, to their credit, I guess to the NYPD's credit, they did arrest the person that was doing most of the problem, except that it wasn't just him. And as you saw from before, ironically in the same city, you can literally step on, kick in the face, stomp on the rib of multiple officers and get nothing. No punishment. In fact, you'll get held. Then you'll get sent on your way to do more crime in a different state. What we are seeing is exactly what we've been telling people would eventually come to America. And what is that? The displacement of the current people that live here for someone else who will do the bidding of the people in power. You see what has happened now, and I guess this would be considered a great awakening, but I don't really consider it a great awakening. What I really think it is a veil being lifted from people. For years, they've been doing a really good job of keeping people in an emotional state, keeping them divided locally, but they have not really done a really good job of isolating information to the point where people can't get it. The flip side to it is that more people are seeing more information, getting more things, and are understanding exactly what their vote has brought them. And they can no longer hide it. Why? Because they no longer want to. It's not that they really can't. They have no desire to. We have outlived our usefulness. Let's just be frank. They don't need our vote. They'll just take it from someone else. They don't need our loyalty. They'll get it from someone else. And they don't even need our number. They'll get that from somewhere else. Imagine that they can get up to 30 million people in the United States in 2 years' time. American population is at 300 million plus. If they eradicate what they need to eradicate, either by people leaving, people dying because of lack of resources, or infighting, they can replace the entire American population in 10 years. Maybe even more. Because the 30 million in 2 years is just the cusp. If they have their way, the border would be completely open with no backlash. You could see that number going from 30 million to a smooth, easy 100 million per year. If that happens, now mind you, the whole idea of this global recession and the fact that people are just way too overpopulating the earth. It doesn't seem to apply all of a sudden when you can bring in all kinds of refugees into the United States. I thought for a minute that they told us that we shouldn't repopulate, we shouldn't grow because America is running out of room. Apparently not to the tune of 300 million extra people. Apparently we still have room for that. You just can't procreate. It's an odd system that they have going, but it's one by design. We spoke to you before that Mr. Biden had said this is what he was going to do. He's on track to do exactly that. And I want to talk specifically to the people that live in these cities that I mentioned, specifically the African American. We've been trying, albeit sometimes to our failure, to get some to understand that what you voted for was against your best interest. Many didn't listen. Many still won't listen. Some, thankfully, are waking up because they see it firsthand. What you voted for is what got you here. I'm sure you can try and undo it now, but it's a tad late because they've been embedded in the system. There is one coming up. Well, that's what we believe, one's coming up. And you have the ability now to right at least a little bit of the ship. Whether you'll do it or not, we don't know. The most we can do is urge you to. But here's what's at stake. It's not just your future as you live now as an adult. It's the future of your children. It's your future of your children's children. And if you say you genuinely care about this community that you're trying to build, if you don't do something now, you want to know some bad news? There'll be no community left for you to build.